And we are live, guys. Hello, everyone. It's 5:30 here in Melbourne and Sydney. And if you're watching us from any other country, please make sure you comment below if you're joining us somewhere else rather than Australia. So today I'm hosting this live stream on behalf of Fastlane Solution, the IT consultancy company in Sydney. And we are going to discuss quite a burning topic at the moment, how to make the right decision faster. As we all know, during this time of uncertainty, it's not that easy to make the right decision, especially then you need to make them fast. And we all experience I'm sure we all experience in the last few months. And you might also need to change your decision really fast as well, even then you just made it. So how long does it take you guys to take decisions during this time, and how many times you change your decision in the last few months? So please comment below. And before I pass it on to Eugene and Dan, I want to just to remind you that we are streaming this show on Fastlane YouTube channel and on my LinkedIn profile at the moment. But make sure you go and subscribe to Fastlane YouTube channel if you want to follow the future shows. So before I go anywhere further, I'm just going to pass it on to Eugene and Dan to introduce themselves. I will start with Eugene, please.
I didn't know who will be that person, so I had to make a very quick decision on what I'm going to say. So I'm business development partner with Fastlane Solutions. As you mentioned, we're based in Sydney, but we're really looking forward to be more based in other places, including Melbourne. And we really give our support and positive vibes to Melbourne and other cities in Australia and globally. And I'll pass my word to Dan now.
Thank you, Eugene. I am Dan Borukin. I am a managing partner of Fastlane Solution, and my main job is to support everyone with the decision making in the company. Welcome everyone to our online chat.
And we have a few highs here from YouTube channel. Igor is already with us. Guys, don't be shy. Say hi to us and tell us why you're actually joining this stream, and have you actually have to make some hard decision in the last few months. So, as I mentioned, it is a burning topic because, do you make decision yourself? Should you discuss it with your team? When do you need to delegate decision? When you need to follow your intuition, or when you need to gather all the facts? And how long you need to spend gathering the facts? All these questions comes to mind. Like, I'm horrible in making decisions myself. So, and I hope after this live stream, I'm actually get better as well. So we're going to discuss all these things. And I guess I want to ask you, Eugene and Dan as well, why you think this topic is so relevant during the COVID situation. We'll start with Dan.
Yeah, maybe jump in first. Very well said, Jana. We all know that this is a very hot topic, but why? So I think I'm more rational person. I represent this side of things tonight. So I look at things and I like to quantify. And when I look at some of the macro metrics happening in the last half a year, we can see some of that, like some of the metrics on the stock market going through the roof. Volatility is going through the roof. Another reason why we are thinking that this is important is that, according to our experience working with a lot of companies, it is #1 reason for low productivity and low efficiency. It is manifesting itself even more in any business that is related to the digital and data-driven economy, just because of the nature of their business based on the data. They used to make decisions based on the data. So what happened in the last half a year? So this COVID situation and fires and any other crises opened up so big tree of decisions and opportunities, right? So people are overwhelmed with the number of possibilities. And you know what that is? This is a book definition of analysis paralysis, right? And then you look at these stock exchange macro metrics like volatility going through the roof, plus 150%. You can say people are overwhelmed, and their decision in 99% is to press
a pause button. This is like my favorite phrase over this weekend. I'm very thankful for Dan to pass the word to me. This was, we decided just on the go now to divide our fast lane part represented here into two teams. This is a rational team, and this is more intuitive decision-making team. So, and still, since the rational team was just talking about how deep we are in this crisis of decision-making, you could hear the core word there, which was people, right? We are basically talking about all these technological advancement matrices and and approaches and frameworks, but then they put enormous pressure on people and on their decision-making process. And I'm truly a big believer into organizational intuition, which consists of people and consists of their guts feeling, which is more used in the business literature, but I would call it intuition.
And I guess this is our first question. It's our first burning question for today: rational or intuitive? I think there's just so many theories around it, and so many times you can hear like, "Oh, business can't be intuitive. Intuitive is flake." And, you can't make a decision just because you feel that it's the right decision. But then on another side, then we're dipping into rational side, decision became slow, we're gathering too much facts, and sometimes we're gathering information that we don't even need. So I think that's a really burning question for a lot of leaders. And I would love to hear your opinion about it. So who want to go first, the rational or emotional?
Probably this time, emotional team will start over. And as Jana mentioned, totally correct that the entire process has to be revised right now, because where we end up now, we have so many products and solutions which are data analytics, all sorts of tools and instruments allowing organizations and people at all levels to make decisions. But eventually, I can't call it a bottleneck, the person who is making the decision, but the approach which we have been using so far, especially this year, demonstrates that we have to reassess and find the better equilibrium between this amount of data and frameworks and actually those who are taking the decisions, which are human beings, and human beings are still the ultimate form of decision making on this planet, even though we really respect our brother animals in that regard. But we would like to hear the rational side of things as well.
Well, rational, you called for it, right? But first of all, I would like to maybe take and segregate some of the parts from intuitive part that you mentioned, and Jana, you mentioned, right? Emotional, right? Emotional doesn't equal intuitive, right? Just very, very important. And second, looping back to the start of the discussion and to the topic, right? How do you make the right decisions faster? So as a manager and as a very rational manager, I would say rational or intuitive doesn't matter if you are making the right decision faster enough. So, and then I started digging into, okay, but what does it mean? How do you know when you use rational, when you use intuitive? And let's not forget that emotional is aside completely, right? So I actually got a rule of thumb for this, right? And for the audience, and would like to actually hear something in the comments about it after I mention it, right? So use your intuition for those decisions and those activities that you're really experienced in. If you are a very experienced manager in identifying whether you can trust the person or not, right, by the first, sight, by the first 45 seconds, as they say, right, use your intuition. Don't let your rational side of things to slow you down, right? If you've done something like driving a car, right, you are relying a lot more than 50% on your intuition, because you actually got experience doing it, right? You don't actually think rationally about whether to make this breathing in or not, right? It's you have that experience and you're doing it, and many other things that you're really experienced in. So that's where you use intuition. That's where intuition will trump your rational mind. But when it comes to complex decisions, really complex decisions, right? When you really want to make this intuitive call, count to 10. Count to 10, think about it. That's where really reflection will trump your intuition. But you need to remember one thing, this rule of thumb, and remember that whichever combination or side you are using, you're using it to make the right decision faster. And that's where another thing, if you practice making more and more complex decisions, right, using your rational side of the mind, you can actually transform it, get it to the level, how they say in games, to the next level, and make those decisions so automatic, so intuitive, then you can become really a great, intuitive decision maker in complex situations.
Oh, we have a comment.
Yes, I mean the same. I use my intuition if I have faced almost similar scenario earlier. However, I'm still cautious in mentioning that I'm being intuitive in my decision.
So, I can address that probably, and leveraging what Dan has already mentioned, which is, he was talking about experience. So we try to combine rational and intuitive decision making here. And when you have experience in similar scenario, like Amit is asking, but then the scenario where you trying to make a new decision is slightly or substantially different, use the same technique like we use at the interviews when we try to get into the new industry. I had this experience, for instance, use transferable instruments and pillars for this decision making and leave the rest for this count to 10 intuitive part. I mean, of course, you have to avoid probably totally emotional burst out in this kind of scenario. But this is a game of, can I control the entire scenario? No, nobody can control the entire scenario. This is the probability of the right decision, 70, 90%, whatever. But use those transferable elements you can leverage from the previous scenario.
I think my question would be how, you were mentioning use the intuition, but how would you use the intuition? That's we don't actually know where intuition locate. We all think that intuition located in amygdala in our brain, and it just not even in the cortex, and we're using just some evolutionarily old brain that don't really can help us to make all these right decisions. And that's usually where the argument is. The intuition can be bad for us, intuition be good for us. But I guess my question is not bad or good. My question is how we actually can use it.
And that's where I believe that our ancestors would survive much better than some of us in the wild, right? So we go there, we look at something, and it's a nice berry. It's red. It's black. It's shiny. We want to eat. We eat it, and we die, right? Or oh my God, right? So our ancestors would actually use a lot of that decision making and knowledge that they accumulated in the tribe themselves on the intuitive level, right? They would smell it, they will look at it. Maybe too shiny is not necessarily very good. The smell is in some of the strange categories. It is one of those things that my brother died of, so I would better not eat this, right? Similar, they might actually pick up and build a whole, library of decision making about subtle nuances of of motion or body language of another person in front of them, they can decide very quickly whether they can trust this person, whether they are lying, or whether they are maybe overreacting in just that, or whether they are really telling the truth because they are really trying to survive and struggling for their life in front of a spear or a knife from this ancestor,
enemy tribe.
Yeah, enemy tribe. Exactly. Look, one thing is about making the right decision faster is you need to understand that you cannot overthink, right? And you need to define for yourself what is that appropriate time for thinking, right? Sometimes giving yourself a time box helps.
I like that picture. It's just awesome. Beautifully explains what
that's me. That's me. That's how I overthink.
Well, it is maybe 90% of the people confronting a difficult decision. They choose to not make a decision at all.
So I'll probably add the last part over here, coming back to how do we actually use intuition. Again, referring to the brilliant example with the ancient tribes, we need to understand ourselves better. We need to be more self-aware about what is the purpose we're trying to achieve personally or in business-wise. And then if we do it as a business situational awareness analysis, it helps out. But it can only happen in relation to the external world, but centered from yourself or from your organization. If you have this channel, and this is becoming a really challenging task these days because we're all went online, and I'm coming back again to my first argument that we need to balance out people, technology, and process. And this is the great opportunity and task for us, at least for the next year, because we already love 2020, don't we?
And I guess following this question, Alan is asking, do you think that there is a study or discipline that train you better than others?
Oh, that's a very loaded question, I think. Thank you, Alana, for asking this question.
And thanks for joining us tonight. Yeah.
Yes. I have a preference, but it would be definitely a bit of subjective in my opinion. I think actually having a balanced education is certainly great. But there are some key elements, even if you look at the HSC and what they are talking. I am a big believer in STEM. So mathematics is one of the brilliant subjects that form your discipline of your thinking. And I'm talking about not just arithmetics or algebra or all that. It is mathematical kind of thinking, scientific approach, right? Making a hypothesis, setting an objective for yourself, somehow scoping it, quantifying, measuring the results, and learning from that. It is a scientific approach. That's my answer to this. What about you, Eugene?
Yeah, that was obvious that would be your answer. But I mean, right. I have to play my role here, and I really believe in that. So actually, I would like to combine those. Of course, we have multiple studies and science approach to that. My grandfather was a brilliant quantum physicist, and probably he went a little bit further than the average person's understanding of how, at least mathematically or physically, this world is structured. In that case, of course, that's great to leverage this kind of science and knowledge. But what are we actually trying to do? We try to make the decision which will impact us or our organization. Thus, we're basically benchmarking this decision against us, our expectations, and the external environment. So if we don't know the benchmark itself, which is us, and for that you will have multiple approaches, starting from meditation up to psychological studies or behavioral studies. And probably, I'm sure Alana is partially referring to behavioral studies, and I totally support that part of the thing. So we have to really know that benchmark. In this case, when Eugene is telling this speech, he's benchmarking the speech against himself, his audience, and the subject topic, which is, the famous Greek triangle, ethos, pathos, and logos. This is where we have to find this balance.
But when you're saying that, something comes back to my memory. Even in the universities and in tertiary education, and I've got, obviously, you've got the idea, I've got mathematical background. There was a big gap in this fundamental discipline of thinking. And I remember out of 6 years of mastering and doing other courses after, there was one subject in particular, and it was about thinking. And it was about the proper way of looking at the problem, regardless of what the problem is. Of course, they used a lot of examples, very interesting examples. I remember myself, writing kind of a work about Stonehenge and trying to find the true answer among 90 or 100 hypotheses about Stonehenge. And I really liked that subject. And of course, I like all the mathematical subjects, but it actually came to me as a big surprise that I so enjoyed this particular subject.
And books,
so
of course.
Books. Yes, I became very fond of these subjects from that point.
Kafik is asking that he's saying Iron McGilchrist called the master and his misery, and it gives a great insight into the right and left brain, which goes back to intuitive or rational thinking. Any thoughts on this? I actually don't think it's that easy that it's a right and left brain. Here we go. I even have a picture. About it. So what do you guys think?
Well, I definitely like this colored part of the brain, I would say. I
like the colors too.
Yeah, we all like colors. And I can also recall the book, which is called Thinking Fast and Slow by Daniel Coleman, if I'm not wrong. And basically it addresses the same approach. And since we're talking about making the right decisions faster today, even scientific, bright minds, they referring to this part of the brain which is more intuitive and more fast thinking and more empirical in some way, and for the purpose of making these right decisions faster and not just holding them or avoiding them or fearing them, which is extensively happening in business and global economy this year. We have to use both in combination, but not forget about the intuitive part of it, which is left or right. I don't even remember. Yeah.
And coming back to the decision making, I think that Alana have a really valid question here, because she's asking if we can provide some recent examples and decisions made as a result of COVID. So can you actually give us some recent examples? Because obviously there's been a lot of changes in the last few months. And people thinking can change as well. It's quite interesting at how people can go from rational decision making to intuitive just because they scared, for example.
Absolutely, or they don't have enough information in their opinion to make that decision, right? And back to what I mentioned, there is a whole new huge tree of possibilities down there that it's even impossible. So to give you an example, one of our clients more in a research and development area, surprisingly related to medical side of pharmacy side of things, but more in early stage, put a lot of things on hold. So you would think that these are the people who should actually take things forward, who should be actually making more active stance and decisions to move forward, right? And these kind of people overwhelmed with either possibilities and or purely with the workload, right? So it's there are other examples. There are a number of companies that you can go right now and see online saying that, in their opinion, I was just browsing LinkedIn, and there was a publication from Macquarie from Macquarie Group, saying that their approach to risk management and to their portfolio management, investment portfolio management, actually proved to be prevailing and beneficial in these environments. What does it tell us, right? And by the way, Macquarie is also our client, and it tells that to me, this is nothing new. This is what Macquarie stands for: the quality, strong, mature investment management and decisions about risk management, right? So they are proving with this for that their approach that existed for all this time, which, by the way, they exist roughly 30 plus years, proved to be beneficial in this environment. And a number of other companies that we've been working in, software vendors, platform owners, they're saying that really they are experiencing growth, and the last quarter was possibly the best quarter in their business. But really, they haven't done anything special apart from, of course, saving their people and putting them, to work offsite. But conceptually, strategically, the decision was to carry on and pretty much benefit from the previous decisions.
I'll probably give a very succinct and brief example about the recent examples, so we can even place ourselves as an example, because we took several pretty ambitious and bold decisions for ourselves within the last 6 months. And the reason for that is very simple. We are actually probably if there wasn't such a deep crisis, we would think about it longer. But what we're observing in the market and among some of the customers or beyond is the vacuum of leadership, which is basically this waiting and pause button until things come back to normal. What is normal and when things are going to come to normal? But nobody knows, and these are very data-driven people. So in this kind of situation, you organizationally, not personally, you take in some way intuitive, but of course based on some market projections decision, and you go there and you replace this vacuum of leadership with another attempt to make the leadership more of bigger quality, of better quality, and of course you're running the risk. This is where the fears start to act in our mind, in our decision-making process. But we can't live in fear entire life. Otherwise, what is the purpose then?
And exactly, and when is the right time? It's a bigger question. There is never the right time. Where you can always find the excuse that it's not the right time, no matter what decision you're taking. It's our human rationalization as well. If you don't want to do something, you will always find the excuse.
Exactly.
And guys, we've been talking almost for half an hour already, and I guess the main question that I want to ask: what would be your main tip actually when you want to make this business decision faster? I guess maybe give us like two tips each, one by one, because we can discuss like for ages. Is it better to be rational? Is it better to be intuitive? But at the end of the day, the goal is here is not to make decision what's better. The goal is here how to make this decision faster. So what's your top tips?
I would probably start with a simple tip. What is the objective? Where you want to go? You see one road or several ways. Where you want to go? You will always say, when you're in the street, you know where you want to go. Even sometimes you can't explain. Sometimes I go one way, I don't know, to George Street and then come back because I thought probably I need to do something else. But at least I'm doing that. And through doing that, I'm already in the motion, in dynamics. We're designed to move. That's knowing the objective. Even if it's wrong, you can readjust. You can be agile, flexible, resilient.
Exactly, Eugene. How do you know that you're doing the right decision if you don't have what is right? If you haven't decided for yourself what is right, and objective will help you with that. Excellent. My next recommendation, and we have actually a whole set and checklists and best practices and tools in Fastlane. But my next recommendation would be prioritize. Not every decision that you are making gonna have the same impact or the same importance among other decisions. So you need to prioritize, knowing your objectives, right? And one more.
Go for it.
One more is ideal isn't human, right? Don't try to make the perfect decision, right? Use all what we discussed, and of course your experience, your team, your knowledge, but differentiate where you need to spend 5 minutes on a decision, or where you need possibly spend more, right? But don't try to be perfect.
And this is where, by the end of our almost the end of our conversation, this is where rational and intuitive are starting to talk, because I actually gave an example where you use your empirical experience to readjust your decision, and then just gave the example of the human nature, which is more on the side of my initial team, but we're playing one game together.
Absolutely.
Guys, whoever is still with us, please put your number one tip that you want to make the decision faster, because the guys actually might have a little giveaway for you if you have a really good tip. So we still have a few people who's with us. Please put in the comments what your number one tip or strategy. Then you need to make a difficult, or maybe not a difficult, strategic decision faster. And while you're popping in some comments, I actually have one more question. I think it's really current question in COVID situation. How quickly you should change your decision? If you already made a decision, but the result is not really matching your forecast, how quick would you change it? Like, do you let it roll for a bit, or you change it as soon as it's not going like you imagine?
Which is a decision by itself, right? So you need to understand whether it is, first and for all, whether it is right to change the decision, right? And then go with, if it is right to change the decision, then do that.
And you just mentioned, Diana, when you understand that you made a wrong decision, this is where you change the decision. Exactly. As simple as that. I mean, in most cases.
I can give you an example from a different business area, like stock traders, right? Who are trading shares, sometimes day trading, right? But I mean professional ones, not those that we became like them on a daily basis. But there are professionals who are doing this. The only way to survive and not to lose is to reassess the situation almost on a minute-by-minute basis. And that's where changing the decision is becoming important, right? So don't stick, if you know that it is right to change the decision, change it.
And we're the sitting examples of the 3 or 4 times changed decision over today, because we had to be in totally different places running this live stream, and just because of some customer client facing meetings, which are still possible in Sydney, we ended up here together, a little bit violating social distancing.
Great, guys. So Amit comment with his tip: make sure to use both your mind and heart in your decision making, as it could impact you and many other people. I guess I hope that the decision we make, it's around here, yeah? So I think we kind of agree that we do need to use both sides of decision making, both approaches of decision making, and try to integrate our intuition and rational thinking. Probably not emotional, yes. I think the emotional, we agreed as well that emotional, it's not the right word. Intuitive intuitive and rational. And if we take both approaches correctly, we can actually master to make this decision faster. One more comment. Role of ethics.
It's a very important role.
What can we say? Absolutely. Sometimes it is a factor. I can tell you from my personal experience, I made a few quite important decisions in my life based on this particular factor, based on ethics. So yeah, thanks for asking and bringing that to everyone's attention, Alana. Of course, it's not just completely rational, right?
It's actually a combination of things. Again, empirically, where ethics was built on some social experience of how to treat social groups and people and relationship between organizations and what is the right or wrong especially in professional areas right now. For instance, for illegal or medical background, it's very important factor in those areas. But in itself, it represents basically the combination of those elements we just displayed on the screen.
Yana, if I may, I have a suggestion here, right? I brought some books which I used. I really liked that might be relevant and might be interesting for the audience. And I want to suggest a bit of a I don't know, a small maybe
Quiz.
raffle
engagement.
Those who are gonna send us the most interesting question. We will first of all certainly respond, but we will also pack and send, obviously for free, one of these books if you like. So I'll put maybe later in the comments we'll put the names, but I'll show them, right? One of the first ones that are really useful, The Art of Thinking Clearly by Rolf DeBelly. Highly recommended. Of course, I couldn't pass by this famous author, right? Gary Kasparov is now in advisory and consulting. You can say very similar to us. Deep thinking, a lot of very good ideas and thoughts from him. He is now consulting top of the town on decision making. All right. Very early work going back to early 19th century, showing that there is not much changed in delusion and madness of crowds. Highly recommended. Just some ideas in there. And a personal favorite of a rational person is The Demon Haunted World by Carl Sagan. I read it in one night. So yeah, tell us what's haunting you, and we certainly will respond, and we'll maybe send you the book you like. One of those.
So, guys, make sure you pop in your last question, comment, or your tip in the comment for the chance to get one of these books to send to you. We'll wait, we'll wait a few seconds for you to pop these comments in. And while you're leaving your comments, I actually, where is it? For all of you who's interested in what Fastline Solution is actually doing, you can simply go to the website fastlineit.com. So here's the
or simply call us.
Here's the website. Look how pretty it is with the astronaut. Maybe you can tell us why you have astronaut on your website.
Well, I just made it up, but I like it. It's actually, he has made a very long decision-making process to end up on the surface of this planet. And it's very interesting to find out what was he thinking back then, right? So I'll just open it for audience to think about.
what it means. Okay, so comments start coming in. When you made the right decision quickly and you see a colleague is in a different space, wrong space, how quickly do you tell them?
Well, I would really be curious to find out what is the wrong space for your colleague, but though I would not wait because this is probably, again, this approach I've already explained. You know, we are social beings. We center relationship against ourselves as a benchmark and the others. So basically, if you obviously see that type of situation and you avoid it, you're making the bad decision for yourself, first of all.
My answer is, Brian, immediately.
Immediately. Urgently.
I'm applying some of my intuition here, trying to read between the lines in your question, and some of the emotional signs in there. If that's the situation, and it's your colleague, really your colleague in a difficult space, reach out immediately. Unfortunately, we as a community, we lost too many great people, good people to many things. And one of those things is indifference. So don't be indifferent.
I have another question from, I think it's Peter. How can we influence others, senior decision makers, to decide faster?
Well, one of the most working, approaches I've used is, because I think it's Michael. I know this email, so senior decision makers. Sometimes senior decision makers like to feel that the decision was actually made by them. So just make it happen. Try to convey it in a way that the senior decision making. Either if it's a good leader, she or he would think this is a collective mindset, the shared value, the crowdsourcing. In worst case scenario, from my angle, this person will consider the decision truly made by her or him.
Well,
I think actually I have a picture here. Here we go.
Yeah. But talking about influencing senior decision makers, try to empathize with them, right? Try to understand the situation from their perspective. Put yourself in their shoes, right? I can use a lot of analogies here, right? Try to look at the things from their perspective. Try to talk their language, right? Find the right arguments. It is quite often, and listen to them, to their concerns, their perspective, right? And relate yourself, relate the topic of the subject of your influence, relate to that. And if it is a really something that is right, that is useful, and you don't give up, you will succeed.
I would probably vote for this one. This is a better version of the answer.
That was the rational answer, isn't it?
Well, it was based on information I just received, but I felt like it's intuitively, like it's going much deeper and broader in a good way than just my corporate approach that I applied, 2 minutes ago.
So we have one more question from.
All right.
One more question from Alana. In the world of disinformation, how do we best navigate this brave new world through the model that you suggest?
Good question.
I like the facial expression. So I will answer this question.
I can put some
rational
thoughts first, and you can.
Yeah, my intuition gives up until closer to the end of the day. So probably let's listen to the rational part.
So, the build of disinformation is telling to me that there is a big problem in finding the truth in the information, right? Which is the first step you have to resolve, because you cannot make a decision without facts, right? You risk to make a wrong decision, or you risk to make a decision based on wrong facts, or even intentionally wrong, like disinformation. So you need to understand that that's the situation you are. Verify, sometimes triangulate your facts, again based on the area of your problem, whether it is something small, something or something more complex, right? You need to give yourself some time frame for this. Maybe you will be using too much of analysis on a problem or a decision that doesn't worth it. So back to pretty much applying the same framework as you're suggesting, model here, but you need to triangulate your facts. If it is a rather complex or huge source or body of information, you might apply some help, right? To triangulate that information. And there are special skills, special people, special tools. By the way, some of them Fastlane also is experienced in, and that's strategically aligned with our mission, that we can help you with this, right? I hope I'm giving you just enough rational arguments to form and to polish this model. And maybe Eugene can add
Well,
something.
I already stepped from this model of just dividing up into teams, because we're all one ultimately. And probably the question of Alana about the world of disinformation is a very broad in terms of scale. So we make decision on our scale. We need to understand the scale and what is the objective again. So, for instance, if we're talking about the disinformation in the political landscape somewhere, I don't know, in the other country or in the economics of the other country, does it really relate to our business decision making at Fastlane today? So we have to really address the world we can change, and the main driver there should be intention. What is the intention? Even if we're looking at the disinformation pendulums around us, we need to understand what are the drivers and intentions of those, and it will be much easier to navigate using facts and data and to actually pierce through those decisions and those complex situations. Scale and intention, right? Important tools to use when thinking about it, because we can't really solve the entire disinformation challenge on a global scale from our position, unless we are, some supreme race over the existing race.
And that would be example of a perfect problem solving.
Yeah, that would be.
So guys, I think we have last question. We're going quite over time. So this is quite specific question, and I think you can give a really specific answer for this one. Amit is asking, in one of the projects where was a conflict on person who has 10 years of hands-on technical experience and a person who has intuitive knowledge, how do you settle or discuss the conflict? I tried brainstorming and listing down pros and cons, however, it didn't work. What else can I do?
Get them talking together.
And understand the objective, because we face these situations every day on customer side, or even internally, or between those, or with our partners. So in the end of the day, technology or whatever hands-on experience, I don't know, assembling Lego constructor, serves to some human objectives. You need to understand what is the objective and whether both persons or the army of people are serving that ultimate strategic alignment purpose.
In all the experience that I had also in the past as a delivery manager and as a project manager, working with project teams and very different personalities on those, I can say from that experience that putting people together, calling to the rational thinking, explaining to them what we are trying to achieve together as a team. the objective, right? Understanding the common objective, agreeing on this, and most people would agree on this general objective. Then talking letting them to talk their arguments, right? And then finding a way to get into the little details. It's usually little detail that is different, that is causing this misunderstanding. So it is a skill and an art of a facilitator, a manager, or a scrum master quite often, right? That is used to resolve these conflicts. But without communicating, without having a common ground about the objectives and an open communication, it would be very hard. So I think, Amit, you are doing absolutely right things, right? I am not obviously don't know all the details of your team or those people or that situation or the frameworks that you're using in your team, but you're on the right way, and maybe it takes sometimes a few rounds to resolve the conflict.
Yeah, and Amit, engage them, because from your question, I see you try to brainstorm and list down pros and cons, but have you done that exercise collectively? Don't be afraid of the conflict. If you have to face something for decision making, face it. Otherwise, we're stepping into this dark area of percentage of fear, which is holding us back from decision.
This one, praise someone else to make this decision.
I like the panic side. We have a lot of this these days, right?
Yeah, that's irrelevant. That's irrelevant to this day. And I like the point that often this conflict, it's just this little thing that they actually disagree, that they probably actually agree on the whole concept, but it's actually finding these like little things that they probably just clutching, and that might holding the whole team. Put them in the room and knock them down.
Perfect. Amit already made the decision. I like that.
There you go. Thank you so much, guys. We're going like way over the time here. So I just want to remind everyone, Fastlane website just here below me. And you can also connect with Eugen and Dan on LinkedIn. Let me just pop your names up. Here we go. You can see the names of Eugen and Dan, so you can just connect with them on LinkedIn. And if you have any questions left, you can just direct message or email them. What's the best email, guys?
Hello, Fastlane.
How you go? You can email either or, you should just, make your choice. If you like Dan more, if you're more rational, or you're more intuitive, you email Eugen. Thank you so much, everyone. This was our first episode with Fastlane Solutions. We do hope that we will be bringing some live shows in the future with the different speakers, and we hope to bring some people from Google and Atlassian. And if you have any ideas about some future topics you would like to discuss, please also put it in the comments or email me or email guys, and let us know what sort of burning topics you have in mind and would love to discuss live, and put your questions in. And one thing we actually forgot, who is sending the book? Are we sending the book to anyone?
You have to make a decision.
There you go. It will be intuitive decision, yeah?
Well, I think maybe I'm going fast here with my decision, but the only person who came up with the decision from our audience today was Amit, who actually, the last quote from him is already a decision. And I would say this is a perfect addressee of our book.
Perfect. I think Amit is my connection on LinkedIn. So Amit, just make sure you connect with Dan and Eugen, but I'll connect you if you need, so you can pass your details. And here we go. Which book are we sending to Amit?
Which book Amit wants to get out of those four.
Okay, no problem. We'll talk with Amit offline. And again, thank you everyone for joining us tonight. Here we go. Amit's happy. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. And as I said, please, if you have any future topics in mind, let us know, because it's always better to talk about something that people want to hear. So if you have any ideas, please comment below. So any last words from you guys?
Yeah, Jana, we want to thank you for taking that decision to take care of our streaming speech, and facilitating it in such a nice way and engaging the audience. And thanks to those who came over to our stream tonight, or whatever part of the day you may have, because I know some people from Eastern Europe have joined this live stream as well. And as we said, we launched that initiative, specifically this episode, just as a broad topic, because this is something which is a baseline for any kind of processes we may have. But we will go more specifically into areas which might be interesting for the business audience, or management audience, or whatever scenario you can imagine around it.
Yeah.
And
I just want to thank everyone who joined, who took time from the day to join and to participate in this. So thank you. I really hope that it was useful for you, and hope that we'll see you again in the next broadcasts.
Thank you everyone for joining, and please don't forget to subscribe to Fastlane YouTube channel, because all the future live streams are going to be on the YouTube channel of the Fastlane Solutions. Thank you so much again, and we'll see you next month.
Thank you.